Hello and welcome to another episode of Yoga for the Barn Aisle by Calvo Yoga. I'm your host, Makayla, and today I'm going to talk to you about kind of a serious topic of reality checks and what this means for equestrians. So, thinking about winter arcs and goal setting like we have done in the last 2 episodes, it's time to consider the reality of our goals of the winter arc, or what's going on in your equestrian life. And I really want this episode to apply to any season. So thinking about not only winter and spooky season, but also summer and heat exhaustion, and really recognizing the physical effects that the season has on ourselves and our horses. And I think this is challenging if, one, you aren't the sole caretaker of your horse, or if you are new in the partnership with your horse or new as an equestrian. I think those are more challenging spots to be in, and I think this episode would actually be even more impactful for you because of that. So I have had my horse for 7 years. That means 7 cycles of all the seasons, and I will tell you, I have learned more about him since his retirement 4 years ago than I did in the 3 years that he was in a training program. So I will forever be the one to say it's a blessing to be your horse's sole advocate and sole caretaker because you know them like the back of your hand. I also want to say that if your horse is in a training program, you and your trainer together should be able to meld all of your knowledge about your horse and have no problem. So thinking about the reality checks of each season means separating yourself from your horse and then combining the two of you back together. So for your horse in the winter, they might have arthritis, or it might take them longer to warm up because they're just cold and they're standing around. So maybe the reality check of, hey, what blankets we used last year aren't going to work this year, and we need to get heavier blankets, or we need to do a different clip job, or whatever the case may be. That's a really good winter example. Then thinking about summer, maybe you go the direction of you, and you're someone that gets heat exhaustion really easily, and the heat just doesn't do well with you and your body, right? I will always say I'm one of those people. You will catch me doing stalls at 6 in the morning and at 8 o'clock at night in the summer, and I will be nowhere to be seen at noon. Just doesn't go well for me, right? My horse loves it. Me, not so much. But if you are someone like me, that's then your responsibility to work with your trainer and say, hey, I know there's a lesson schedule, but these are the limitations I'm having. Can I maybe ride in an early lesson? And maybe you're the first lesson of the day before the heat is at its peak, right? And maybe your horse is like that and he doesn't do well in the heat. Or maybe your horse really likes the heat and you take advantage of that. So it's taking these reality checks, both good and bad, and using them to your advantage. This is even for your connection between you and your horse, is noticing what are his best days and what are your best days. Are they aligned or are they different? I know for me, I actually do better in the winter, my horse not so much. So I counteract that by giving him more time to warm up, but I also ask him to go for longer walks because that helps get him circulating his blood and his energy and the heat in his body and helps him for the rest of the day. Where in the summer, I know he's feeling better, so I might ask for a little trot work, or I might ask to lunge him a little bit more than I would ever in the winter. But that's because I know that I'm more tired and I need to take care of me, but his body is more prepped to increase the demand of what I'm asking from him. So although we're different, I'm able to utilize that and create a plan or a goal or whatever you want to call it for that season based upon what I know about myself and my horse. So thinking about that, I just want you to take a few moments, maybe now, maybe after this podcast is over, maybe 5 minutes before you go to bed, and just jot down what you know about you and what you know about your horse in the different seasons. Now, if you're in winter, this will help you create this idea of your winter arc, or set your goals for the winter season. If you're in summer, this will help you create is it called a summer arc? I don't know. It's winter here. But summer arc, your summer goals, whatever it may be. And obviously there is a fall season and there is a spring season, but I kind of think of those as transition seasons. Maybe that's just a Pacific Northwest thing. I don't know. But if you need to fully separate 4 seasons, do that. If you know how those 4 seasons affect your horse, do that. So thinking about reality checks, bring in the idea of ahimsa. We've talked about it before. I will always bring in ahimsa. It is one of the most underrated pieces of yoga philosophy, and especially as an equestrian, I come back to ahimsa every single day. I'm practicing nonviolence for myself or with my horse. And this isn't just getting out of dangerous situations when you're riding and something happens, right? Accidents happen. It's the idea of giving myself grace and giving my horse grace. So maybe it's not his best day. Maybe his body's really sore. So we change the plan. Maybe it's not my best day and I'm really anxious and in my head. That is not a day I'm about to go do something challenging with my horse and test our relationship, right? It's just not the outcome I want. It doesn't lead to success or growth within our relationship. So maybe your reality check is when you ask yourself, am I practicing ahimsa by doing this or not doing this? Just ask yourself, is this kind? Is it necessary? And is it true? Those are aspects of ahimsa that maybe don't apply to every situation, but usually one of them will apply, maybe not all 3. So utilizing ahimsa as an equestrian can serve as a reality check. And I actually love that, and I don't know why I didn't think of it until exactly this moment. But that's what I do every single day. I walk in the barn and go, is my plan really what I need to do? Is my plan really best serving me in this situation? And that's where I'm pulling from my yoga knowledge. I'm pulling from my yoga self, right? I've checked in with myself, and I think it's easier for me to really quickly check in with myself and kind of get a gauge on my own energy because I do so much energy work, yoga practices, and like mindfulness work outside of the barn, right? So really thinking about reality checks, I think my best resource to you as an equestrian is actually to give you a few different pieces of mindfulness tools, right? So these will branch between my own personal experiences, psychology stuff, and yoga stuff. I love yoga asana. It's the physical practice. I have seen the biggest transformations in my own body with a yoga asana practice. And so I will always say maybe hop on your yoga mat. But that said, the asana practice only serves as a mindfulness practice for me because I'm able to check in with my body and see where it's at that day. So kind of like what I said about summer, my yoga practice really aids in how much is my body capable of right now and how much do I need to dial it back. So maybe you do get on a mat and you start noticing where you're tight, where you're holding tension, and you're just working on the union between your mind and body. That's literally the definition of yoga, and I love that. So taking that yoga asana practice, maybe you're saying, you know what, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready. Caveat, I do have some yoga videos up on my YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, they're like a playlist over. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hop onto YouTube, type in cowbell yoga, and you'll be able to find some yoga flows of different times and different practices, poses, meanings. So if you're looking for a place to start that's at home, that's a great option for you. And it's brought to you by an equestrian, by someone who does this. My dog's in some of them. It's all good fun. I don't take my yoga practice seriously because I get it. There's distractions, there's kids, there's all the things. So, and I think that's a really important reminder for any of these mindfulness practices is they don't have to be perfect to have the results that you're looking for. So moving away from the physical practice of yoga, I want to quickly go back to the idea of ahimsa and just asking yourself those questions. And maybe you find a different piece of yoga philosophy that you really like, but ahimsa is going to be the one I offer today, asking yourself, is this practicing ahimsa? Or how can I practice ahimsa today if you're checking in the morning before going about the rest of your day? Now moving into some more psychology, I'm going to say based techniques. Having a reality check or a check-in for you might be a journal practice. It might be a brain dump if journaling isn't your thing. I journal almost every day, and I always feel quieter and more at ease after I journal because the thoughts are no longer in my head. They're out on paper and I can let go of them if I wish. So sometimes the best check-in is actually to journal. And if you really want to take a play out of my playbook, take your journal to the barn and sit with your horse and see what happens. It's amazing. I write more, the words flow, I come into myself so much more when I'm with my horse Bo, and I think it's because horses scientifically, their heartbeat's different, so it actually helps slow down our own heartbeats, and it's very relaxing because of the energy fields around people versus horses, and horses have a bigger energy field because they're bigger than us. That's your little science that I don't know much about, but I know it exists, and I think that's a really key aspect to tap into when maybe you're having a hard reality check moment or when you're looking for one and life is crazy and you need to settle into a moment. The other thing that I want to offer, the last thing, is utilizing a pranayama practice. So pranayama has two meanings. Some people will say it is a life force, and some people will say it is a breath control. It depends on the lineage of yoga you're looking at, the teacher, but really I think of a pranayama as you're manipulating the life force within you through the breath control. So I'm kind of melding the two aspects together. So some pranayama practices that you might be familiar with is box breathing. So inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding for 4. Maybe you choose to do a bee's breath, which you do by drawing your lips together and humming at an octave of your choosing. Sometimes higher octaves raise energy while lower octaves lower energy. I personally like something in the middle, but you can try it on and also see how your horse responds. That gets really cool. But the idea here is using these mindfulness tools to come back into yourself, to find union between your mind and body, and then moving forward with whatever reality check you might be calling upon, whatever struggle you may be experiencing. But really, these mindfulness practices will set you up for success regardless of what you're going through. And I highly suggest trying on 1 or 2 and trying it for a week, maybe 2, and then noticing what happens, what changes. And then maybe you add another one, or you shift and you take one away and add a new one. But having these mindfulness practices in your toolkit is going to be one of the best things you could ever do for yourself. And I rely upon so many. I would love to see what mindfulness practices you try. So if you do and you want to share on social media, tag me. I am Calabo Yoga on everything. If you want to email me or message me one-on-one, there are options to do so on my website or through social media channels. That said, thank you so much for listening today. If you liked this or want to see more, please comment what you want to see and give us a follow on any of the platforms you're listening on. And best of all, if you have a friend who would love this, share this episode with them. That means the world to me as I'm trying to grow a family, a community with Calabo Yoga. If you want to be a VIP member with quick access to new and upcoming programs, as well as helping me build them so that you see exactly what you want out of each program that I create, visit calaboyoga.com and sign up to be a subscriber to my email list, and you'll hear from me soon. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.